I'm Wayne.
I'm Kane, and this is the Wayne and Kane podcast. Today, for our first guest, we have Nick Ye Daddy Kraus.
Hello.
So, a lot of questions coming your way.
That's what I'm here for.
What do you think about the future of gear wrestling?
Future this year or future in general?
Future in general.
Well, I think it's looking really good. We got a bunch of young kids who've been wrestling into the sport. We've got older kids like you guys that are good role models that make yourselves known. You show your faces at tournaments. You show your guys' faces at youth camp. They see you guys. They look up to you guys. Like my own kid included, Harper. He sees what you guys do in the room. He sees what you guys, everything you guys do when we're not wrestling. He watches you guys. He idolizes all the high school wrestlers. So I think we're kind of becoming a brand. And obviously I think we're going to have a great season this year, but I think we're building something that's going to last. And it's not Nick Kraus, it's not Mike Poppy, it's all the names that are behind the scenes. It's all the wrestlers, all the parents, all the coaches, from little guy coaches all the way up to big guy coaches. Our girls wrestling has started to grow, which the two females we have on the high school team right now are actually very dedicated to wrestling. It's the first two females I've had that have wrestled that have actually been this dedicated to the sport. And I think girls wrestling growing at the college level and international level and getting promoted more, all those things factor into where we've got more serious athletes now on both sides, male and female.
That's what I've been talking to Wayne about, because you hear kids from other schools talk about how their coach focuses on the 2 or 3 or 4 main kids, but at Gear Wrestling, we have so many coaches, and you show appreciation to literally everyone from, I'm not gonna say the worst kid, but some of the lower level kids to even the best competitors that we have in the room.
And you guys come to go to the middle school things, because that's gonna be your future team.
Yeah, we gotta let them know we care.
Yeah.
My health class, they have, you guys have probably had this before, rules without relationships equals rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you guys kind of remember that quote?
Yeah.
We need to form those relationships with these kids early so they trust us, so they want to wrestle for Kraus and Poppy and Lanning. We've got to get that to where they want to be a part of what we're building. And in the room, any coach that's got some type of skill, you could go up and just focus on your best 2 kids, and that's easy. But if you're trying to develop a program that's going to win duels, you got to focus on everybody. There is a time and place where you start focusing a little more on the top kids, and
the regionals and semi-state weeks and
exactly. And then you get to your state tournament. Sure, you realize that wrestler A might need a little more help than B, and wrestler A might be that kid who could keep advancing more. They've got a lot better chance. It's just the reality of the situation, and I think that probably happens in every program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about new rules added, with the mask and everything? And
well, you mean just the COVID precautions this year?
Yes, the COVID precautions.
Well, I think they're pretty silly.
Okay.
For example, I know in Michigan they had to wear masks today and yesterday. Well, if you're already gonna be tying up wrestling with somebody, I don't understand the mask thing.
Yeah.
Plus, I can tell you from coaching with this thing on, particularly this kind, they get pretty soaking wet. I mean, you guys see when I'm showing stuff.
Yeah.
Probably 3 days a week, I'm drenched. I'm soaked in sweat, so you're talking and you're sweating, and I haven't really wrestled with anybody this year because I'm trying to avoid any of the contact tracing issues that could happen. But when I've got Coach Lanning or Coach Arnie or whoever I'm showing a move on, I don't know, just something feels wrong about wearing a mask, how it gets so, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
I've just got wet paper towels all over my face.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, and I kind of feel like that's gross.
Yeah, it's just weird to me, growing up, not seeing anybody with masks, because I was, the swine flu or whatever, didn't know that was a thing, and then walking around this year and seeing everybody with masks, it's just weird. And then I try to take a shower, go to sleep, I feel naked without my mask on. But
we've gotten used to them.
Yeah, but in cross country, the coaches could have their mask off if they were doing strenuous activity or whatever. But I don't see how that doesn't cross over into wrestling since you're doing strenuous activity?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. The guidelines are listed. The way I interpreted them is I have to keep my mask on during that. But again, I haven't really wrestled any of you guys yet, and part of that reason is in case somehow the contact tracing affected that, trying to make sure we don't have any issues like that. I think this is going to be a day-to-day, week-to-week thing that we're battling all year, unfortunately. And you know, I would assume the general consensus among the experts or people who know what they're talking about is, yes, we realize this virus doesn't affect too many people your guys' age in terms of side effects, this, that, and the other. But I guess it's more what they're concerned about is spreading it to the people who are higher risk.
Yeah, like the
immunocompromised.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, people can have whatever view they want towards the virus, and just because you think this or you think this doesn't mean I'm going to change the way I think about you as a person. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are like that in society now where, oh, you voted for this person or your stance on the virus is this, so we can't be friends. That's crazy. That's the most immature concept you could ever think of. I'm not going to be like that. I live with somebody who's pretty immunocompromised. I have a daughter who was in the NICU for 108 days. So yeah, I'm not trying to go out and get the virus, and I'm not getting in her face right when I get home. I'm going home, changing my clothes, showering, we're hand sanitizing, but there's also the aspect of we need to live our lives. And this is my opinion, and if somebody doesn't like it, then it is what it is, because it's my opinion.
Yeah, it's just weird because like they said a lot of kids our age could be walking around having it, not even knowing about it because of the asymptomatic or something. Like that's what happened to one kid of mine.
When that happens, I mean, obviously you can't name names, but it's a small school at Garrett. Yeah. So people know everything that happens in Garrett. So when a kid does get it and people are contact traced, there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing anybody should say to that kid. It's not their fault. Yeah. It is what it is. It's kind of like how 2020 is right now. It is what it is. We just got to roll with punches on some of these things, and hopefully we'll get back to what our normal was within the next, I don't know, sooner than later, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be like harder to coach the little kids once they're all bigger because of how sensitive they've been raised?
Oh, are you asking if I think that society has changed?
Yeah.
Maybe, but I haven't. So what I do and what I expect and what we expect in our program isn't going to change. I'm not going to lower my expectations to appease somebody. That's not really how wrestling works. You're either in or you're out, and there's a way to win in wrestling and a way to be successful, and hard work is that way. So, and you can figure out kids. Each kid is different, each adult is different. You might be able to be a little tougher on kid A than you are kid B, but it doesn't mean you have to. I'm not going to change what we're doing in practice. I'm not going to change our philosophy towards winning, our style of wrestling. I might make some changes eventually, but not for any of those reasons. It'll be because I figured out something that's better. Because I'm trying to learn, trying to coach, trying to evolve and get better at those stuff. I learn something new about wrestling probably every week. Because I'm still, in my mind, I'm still a student of it. I'm not the best coach I can be yet. I'm not the best wrestler I could be right now. But as far as changing something for kids, no, we're going to wrestle the way we wrestle, and if we change something, it's going to be because we found something better. I hope I answered that question without going around it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
No. I will say something I've talked to you guys about though. Like, one of the things I went and observed Warsaw's football practice, and their coach, Coach Curtis, was my high school football coach. He's a great man. He's in the Coaches Hall of Fame for football. I've had a couple things happen in my life that were, I guess you could say, kind of traumatic events. Like I lost my dad when I was 16. He was the first one at the hospital not named Kraus. He was the first one there. When my daughter was born, as early as she was, he was one of the first people to message me that wasn't a very close friend or family member. So that's, I guess, kind of reloading back to the thing before. I was going to play for that guy because he had my respect and he had that relationship, and we kind of talked about that earlier. I was going to play my butt off for him. I didn't always do the right thing. Obviously, I was in high school, but I was going to try to make him happy, try to do what he needed done out of me for the program to help us win. And what I was getting at, though, is talking about society. So I watched the way his practice went, and I was wondering, like, when I used to tell people about how my practice was I telling those back in my day stories?
No.
And when I went and watched, no, I wasn't. They're doing the same stuff. He's got the same standard. Those kids over there at Warsaw, their practice, they had a good season. They won conference. They hadn't won it since a ridiculous, like 1990 something. They won the sectional last year. They were in the sectional finals this year. They're having success because they bought into what he did, but they're not fast because they just showed up at a big school and they go there. They're fast because of the way they practice. They're disciplined because of all the things they do at practice. You know, there's constant eye contact with their coach. Whoever's talking, yes sir, thank you. And I want that to improve on our society in general. I want people to be more kind, be more respectful, hold doors open for people, look them in the eyes, shake their hand. Maybe there's no handshaking anymore because of COVID.
Yeah.
But whatever that new gesture is going to be in America, let's do it right. And it's got to start with the younger kids. And you know, I teach that to my kids at home. But we've got to do that to have a better world and a better society. And it's been a big thing this year. Like I said, people can't even be friends anymore because they have different political views or different views on the coronavirus, which is crazy because at the root of it, it would be as simple as me saying like, well, you like the Detroit Lions, so we're not friends. If that were the case, Poppy and I wouldn't be friends.
Yeah.
But he's my best friend. We like different teams. It is what it is. You know, it's kind of funny like how immature some people have gotten about things.
We talked about the future of Garrett Wrestling. What are you have some pretty high expectations for this year. Can you tell us some of those?
Yeah. Kind of a couple things I think that I want to be mainstays in our program. We had to build our way to get there. We were never bad, but we've gotten to a different level now. Winning the conference is a goal. It's an expectation.
Yeah.
Winning the sectional and regional, and trying to win team state. I would say those are like the goals each year for a team. Okay, and then individually, we haven't done this yet, but I'd like to get 14 out of 14 onto regionals. I think we're close. I think we're really close, and we've been close. I'd like to make a run to win semi-state, and then we want to get our first state champion, and we want to get placers.
Yeah.
You know, we've done a good job of getting kids to Friday night, and we've had a few placers, but we need to get more. And I think that the mentality has changed in the room where if we get to have a season this year, and we get to have a full season, and we get to that point where we have those high leverage matches, you know, your ticket round matches, your Friday night matches, I think our kids are ready to break through and win those matches. And some of that's because they've gotten better at wrestling, but I think the biggest change is in between the ears. I think they've gotten stronger in their brains and they believe. I think they know it's an expectation. Like, if we're going to put in this work, we might as well win because we do work hard. So I would say that's a lot of medals. That's my goal.
Yeah.
A lot of trophies and trophies.
A lot of trophies.
A lot of trophies.
Yeah. And I may have mentioned this at practice last week. We had the practice where I only coached 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you guys remember that, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think it worked. The drill after that was excellent. And it's not that it was bad before, but we can do better. And we need to maintain that level. But one of the things I mentioned is maximizing potential for that kid. So I'm going to make this up. You're 132, for example. It might be a huge accomplishment for that kid to get to regionals. Okay, or to get 5th place at sectionals. Where you're 160, you reaching your potential is winning state. And those are just made up examples, not even thinking about our lineup, but not every kid can have the same goal individually.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a kid, probably my first or second year coaching, he made it to regionals, and that was maximizing his potential. We were so incredibly proud of him. And, you know, just as proud of him as what we are to some of the kids that have went to state, because he did the best he could. So that's what we're looking for with all the kids, but I think our best is going to keep getting better.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. So with Clayton Fielding, you talk about maximizing potential. Do we think we maximized his potential or
Close.
close?
He's not done.
Yeah.
You know, so no. I don't think we did.
Think he'll do really good in college?
I think he's going to do well. Yeah. He's going to get better. Mentally, physically. He's going to get better in both those aspects. He's going to clean up some positions. He's in a room now where, you know, last year there wasn't really a high school kid in the room that could really push him. So
Yeah.
he wrestled with myself, Coach Arnie, Carlos, Coach Aguirre. I still call him Carlos. Yeah, I mean, that's who he had to wrestle was men. And, you know, he could wrestle a couple of the kids on the team and they would push him, but they weren't really a real threat to beat him last year.
Yeah.
So now he's in a room where he can turn to his left, turn to his right, and those are kids who are a threat to beat him. So because of that, if he stays patient and kind of embraces the process, I think he's going to be really good. And he's not one of those kids that started wrestling at 4 years old, and he may have done a little bit, but I know that his dad did not push him into it super hard like some parents will with their kids at a young age. So when he got to his senior year, I don't think it was the best Clayton because he was still hungry.
Yeah.
There was still more wrestling out there for him. And I know that's how I was. And it wasn't completely by choice. I didn't know some of this stuff existed. That's how naive I was. I didn't know these opportunities were out there. Social media wasn't as big of a thing. So you weren't seeing flyers posted on Twitter or Instagram. So-and-so open roll tonight at 6 o'clock at wherever. We didn't know about those as much. So I was still hungry and like, I wish I could wrestle right now. I wish I could go wrestle. You know, he's got that opportunity and you guys have that opportunity, and it might be a weird opportunity this year, but you guys aren't done. You know, you guys have time to get better. So I think he was close. And when you make it to the state championship match and you're under the lights and there's 12,000 people watching, there's There's intangibles. How do you deal with the atmosphere? Do you even notice it? Do you change the way you wrestle because, well, this one's for all the marbles? I don't know. Only he could answer those questions. So I think we were close for what he could do in high school. I mean, he made the finals 2 times, which in a one-class system in Indiana with no wrestlebacks, so that's pretty dang good. That's almost getting to rare territory. So he was close.
With COVID, do you think we're gonna have like another outbreak where we're gonna have to quarantine again? How do you think that is all gonna go?
Some schools have already closed down until like Thanksgiving and Christmas break.
Some schools have closed down, but some have closed down and stopped sports. Some have said, okay, we are closed until X date, but we're going to start sports again next week. So it just really depends. It depends on what the numbers say, what the health departments say. It's not so much about the schools, it's about the health departments. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about it, but when I've been going in there coaching this year, my mentality has been like,
This is your last day.
yeah, might not
It
get
could be,
tomorrow.
yeah.
So let's give it all we got. And, you know, it's not a waste of time if we train something we love and we don't get to have something, but it sure kind of feels like a waste because it would just really suck for the kids that put in work, for the coaches that have put in work, for the officials even, for everybody, for the parents. Like, wrestling is a family, it's a community like no other. And people are really tight, and it would suck.
Yeah.
So we will see. I'm trying to be positive, but it's hard to be completely positive when you look at everything going on around you.
New riots breaking out of wrestling if we don't have wrestling this year.
Riots breaking out everywhere.
Everywhere.
There could be. People could get upset. I don't know what I would do if we didn't have wrestling this year.
Yeah.
I'd probably do more home improvement stuff. I'd be really sad, like every day. I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, it's my last year.
Yeah,
That'd suck.
it would really suck. And I've told you guys before about Flow Wrestling, how they have films.
Mhm.
I watched one of them yesterday, and it was called The Season That Never Was. And like just the effect that had on future recruiting, on whether or not these seniors get another go at it. That's a huge domino effect. And even in terms of teams, like Iowa was probably going to win it last year, and Penn State had been on this historic run. Penn State still could have won it, but it looked like it was going to go in Iowa's favor for D1s. That would have been a historic NCAAs, one way or the other. Iowa was going to have 5 in a row, and Coach Sanderson was going to be kind of joining that Dan Gable territory from when he coached Iowa, or Iowa was back. Never got to see.
Yeah.
And that sucks. It really does suck, and it sucks for the kids, sucks for the coaches. When I coach wrestling, I vicariously, if that's the right word, live through you guys. Like, that's why Saturdays I am done. It gets over because it's almost like a video game, and those are your characters out there, and you need them to win, and you're hoping you're pushing all the buttons, but sometimes you're defenseless because they're going to do what they do on the mat. If you get them to listen 50% of the time during a wrestling match, and it works, that's pretty good probably. But you're invested, and I don't think I'm the only coach like that. I think that's how we all are. And come on. You see the weird movements. You see Poppy doing the Poppy dance.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 'cause I don't see a lot of on Saturday tournaments and stuff. I don't see a lot of coaches getting out of their seats and jumping around.
No, I guess we're probably pretty high strung.
Yeah.
Popular on the Flow Wrestling page. And,
Poppy dance is unbeatable.
Poppy dance, yeah. I've got a meme of it called the Happy Dance, but it's supposed to be the Poppy Dance. Somebody called it the Happy Dance and actually made it a real meme on there where it's like it was called GIFs or whatever, a GIF.
GIF, yeah.
Where it's him going.
Yeah. That was funny. That was real funny.
Where was that at again?
State.
Was that State?
It was
It was
Clayton's
Clayton.
junior year
Mhm.
against McCartney Parkinson from Evansville Mater Dei. Clayton got cradled in the second. He was winning the first, rallied back in the third, and we were up 8-6, I believe. And that kid, instead of taking a shot on Clayton, he tied up with him upper body. Oh, don't do that.
Mm.
Clayton goes, woo, and launched him, and it was a highlight reel throw. And that was the Poppy dance happened there. And it's happened other times. I love going through my camera roll randomly sometimes looking at stuff, and I'll find stuff, and it's Poppy.
Like when Nolan Hathaway beat the Snyder kid.
Oh, when Nolan Hathaway beat the Snyder kid. Chandler Shear shot a low single against a pretty good South Adams kid at the Garrett Invite 2 years ago, and like had them stacked up like this and got the pin while they were still neutral. It wasn't an accident. Like Chandler knew what he was doing, but Poppy had a Poppy dance there that I watched that pretty incredible. Like it rivals the one at State, but the one at State meant a little bit more. A lot more people saw it. It went viral. So yeah.
Are we having Garrett Invite this year?
As of now we are.
Okay.
Last year we didn't
Yeah.
because of inclement weather,
Yeah.
which,
that was tough.
well, I'm glad we didn't have it because I had a kid. So
Oh yeah.
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 that ended up being a blessing in disguise for me because I know how my wife is. She gets into the wrestling matches. I could see her being at the meet saying, well, hold on, Kane's got to wrestle.
Yeah.
And the whole time she was actually in labor, and it's crazy, the way it all worked out, but somebody was looking out on us, that's for sure.
So I'm so upset because the Al Smith got canceled.
Yeah.
I love the Al Smith, even though I get whooped a lot at the Al Smith.
It could have changed this year.
Yeah.
You're competitive there.
Yeah.
I know that you hit a lat drop there 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was looking through Huddle, I
On
saw that.
Warsaw
Yep.
kid.
And I didn't know that Kane actually hit lat drops.
Me neither.
Well, I think the reason it happened is you just reacted.
Yeah.
But I was going through film, and that's one of them where I have to go through film a little bit more because there's 2 gyms at the Al Smith. So naturally, we send the smaller coaches to the little guys' gym.
Yeah.
And I'm over in the big guys' gym, and sometimes I'll float back and forth, but I don't catch all the action. So I went back over the film. I remember I sent you a message. I'm like, I didn't know you knew how to lat drop, and you're like, I did. And I had to direct you to the clip on Huddle, and you're like, oh wow.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
You just reacted. You were just wrestling, so it was muscle memory. It was something you had learned before at some point in time.
Yeah.
And at that specific moment, you just went.
Yeah.
And it's pretty.
But
It's nice.
you talked about yesterday. Was it yesterday at practice? How Clayton learned how to do a lat drop on his knees.
Yeah.
That's how Clayton taught me.
Yep.
To do a lat drop.
Yep.
Just on my knees.
He learned it on his knees at first, and then one of the other techniques I'll do with kids is I'll have them start with an over. I don't like starting over-unders because that's like telling them, hey, I'm getting ready to throw you.
Yeah.
Start with an over, okay? And I got this kid right here with an underhook, and he pushes into me, and I'll say timber, and I'll say now. And you hip heist and go through the underhook.
Yeah.
Rotate your hips, do all the things you do for a lat drop. That's how I've taught a lot of people to do it. Chase Leach knows how to do it now, actually, because we had trying to think when it was. It might have been when he was going into 8th grade, or it might have been going into this year. We didn't have many things because of COVID.
Yeah.
But one of the things we had, and we've got that throw mat. He was in there with a group of probably 6 kids that day, and we just boom, repetition, repetition, repetition. Because we're not going to work throws and huge moves during the season as much. So that's how we learned it. Just timber, rotate.
Chase Leach is a dog.
He's going to be pretty good, I think.
Yeah, so do I.
He's going to be pretty good. The thing about him is he's taking some lumps in the room right now.
So is Wayne here also.
Yeah.
He is, but you've also dished it out. Like I've seen you and Chase go back and forth, and I know he was having a rough day with you the other day.
Yeah.
Like he was having a real rough time. Some of that freshman moment, and part of you having a sophomore moment, maturing and realizing I belong here. This is my time. I don't have to wait for it. I can do it now. But then you turn around the next day, and Chase knocked off a senior on our team in front of everybody in a little for fun match at the end.
Yeah.
And he knocked off a pretty talented senior. So,
Yeah.
Anything can happen. But the fact that you're scoring on this guy's scoring on you, this guy beat you beat this guy, he beat that guy beat him, that's a really good problem to have in the room.
Just like last year with me, Braden, and
Jaden,
the
you.
little trio thing.
Yeah,
whatever.
Wayne was kind of in on that group.
Yeah.
I ended up dumping up.
Yeah, but you guys were all right there, and
Yeah.
it was very competitive. Now, it is nice to see this year where some of the people are beating the other people and flipping back and forth. I think they're all going to kind of fit into their own spot, which is nice. Last year, we got to a point where we had 3 guys kind of in the same weight, and I tried guessing early on, like, okay, nope, this is going to be the guy, so I'm going to sit him to save some points so we don't, break any rules. And next thing you know, the other kid won. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be the guy. I'm going to sit him.
Yeah.
And then the other kid won, and it's like, come on, guys, can somebody figure this out? Can somebody rise above the other two?
And then I pulled my head out of my butt.
Yeah.
Tough situation.
Well, even when you ended up winning your spot, what it ended up doing was Bang Energy Drink. It's not a sponsor, but if you guys happen to watch this and you'd like to sponsor me, Bang tastes delicious, and the purple Kittles taste exactly like purple Skittles. So big fan.
I don't know, cotton candy is probably the best flavor they have.
So enough of the Bang Energy Drink though. Back to what I was saying. When you eventually did win your weight class, it created a cluster in another weight where there was Wayne, Jaden, Braden. Like, it doesn't matter so much when we have duels. I can pick who I want to wrestle based on maybe this kid's a good pinner, maybe this kid doesn't get pinned. But when we get to the individual stuff, it does matter because I let people settle that with the wrestle-offs. So I was like, who's going to win this? And it was stressing me out. I'd go home and be stressed about it. And I'm sure all 3 of those kids were stressed about it too. But there's only one thing, only one thing you can do about that. Do extra at home. Rise above those other kids. Do what you got to do to beat them. Do more than them,
Yeah.
So it's not a bad problem to have.
Yeah.
It does stink that there are people in our room that may be better than other people that are in the lineup, but they're not near that weight. So we are going to have some backups, last year, this year, that are probably good enough to go to semi-state.
Yeah.
But they're not in our lineup, and it is what it is. When they get their turn, well, they should take their turn. I've said that before, like you should go take something if you want it.
Yeah.
But when that person or people do eventually end up in the lineup, I'm confident that we've got a kid that's going to at least semi-state and giving us a chance to win regionals. So I think it's a good problem to have.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
with each year of Garrett wrestling, we always get like 2 more kids that join. So last year, didn't we have, how many kids did we have on the team?
We actually
Like 42 last year.
No. It was the year before that. We gained, and we actually dropped a little bit this year. I think last year, you even count the kids that are injured because you know they're part of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
I think last year we topped out at 51, and then by the end of the year we were more like 47, 48. This year we've been sitting around 47 to 49.
Mm.
So I mean it's about the same. Part of that too, I think, is everything going on. Might have made a couple of those kids on the fence about it, like, okay, well I'm just not gonna do it then.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is some kids eventually, they do their year and they're like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And they see maybe the writing on the wall that they were only doing it hoping to be varsity and they don't have as much of a chance to be varsity, so maybe they don't do it. That's not a bad thing. But I watched Flow Wrestling, okay? I watched the Thomas Gilman film.
Yeah.
It's called Love Me or Hate Me.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that, it was great. But he talked about his freshman year, Clark beat him in the wrestle-off, and he beat him at the Luther Open. And he goes, there's no excuses, he was the better man. He goes, after that, he goes, I was carrying Gatorade. He goes, I was helping him in the room. I was doing my part to do whatever I could do to help those guys be successful. He's like, if you can't beat this guy, but he wins the national championship, who else would you want to win the national championship?
Yeah.
He goes, I wanted to beat him and I didn't. It didn't work out. He goes, but I became a very good practice partner for him. And stuff, fetching Gatorade, this, that, and the other. However he could help, he was doing that. And he was embracing his role to help Iowa be the best they could be. And we've got kids on our team that do that. And that's great, and hopefully they eventually, if they're putting in the work, get into the lineup. But we don't win regionals by just having those 14 people that wrestled.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's other people that have to do stuff to push them. And if they're not, we're not doing as well as we can actually do. So that's why it's important that even your lower level matches in the room, they're pushing each other as hard as they can, so their skill level's rising, and all the way up to the best kids in the room. They need people to push them. And you mentioned Clayton earlier. Last year we had to get creative, like with some stuff.
Yeah.
Like maybe they started on this position on Clayton and he was beat, so he had to start from there. Or maybe we ran a gauntlet on him, or whatever the case. There's ways to make it work. Okay, and we didn't have a bad team last year.
Yeah.
It's just, and the kids next to him weren't bad. They were good. A lot of kids went to semi-state, but they weren't on his level. So, we wrestled coaches and made adjustments. We got creative to do what we could do to make them work.
Field was just built different.
He was just built different.
He didn't just show up and was good.
Yeah.
He had to put in work. When he was younger, he lost to a lot of the kids that he ended up passing up later in his life. He lost to these kids and then caught them, and we have a coach on our team who is the same. Carlos, Coach Aguirre, he was not varsity as a freshman. As a sophomore, middle school he wasn't. He was behind the same group of kids. And then middle school, never. I think the only time he wrestled varsity is, we were in 2 different conferences at the time, so sometimes we had a weird set of weight classes.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes he could fit in there. But he couldn't beat those kids, couldn't beat them freshman year. At the very end of sophomore year, he beat them. And then he got eliminated in a rat tail match at sectionals. And he had a losing record. And then junior year goes to semi-state, senior year goes to state. So he climbed the ladder within his own room and realized some people make the choice I'm not going to do this anymore because I can't win. Carlos was, how can I win? How can I beat these guys? And he caught those guys, and I was really proud of Carlos, being a qualifier, and wrestled the state runner-up on a Friday night and battled him. He did really well. He didn't beat him, but he was there.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think the mentality at Garrett is just different?
I think it's changed a little bit.
Because when we go
kids.
when we go to clubs in Fort Wayne and everything, and I'm not gonna name a name, but that kid brought out a spike ball set or whatever.
Oh,
That.
I think that's a big part of wrestling now. A lot of different schools, they'll do stuff like that, and they want to make wrestling fun. And there's a time and a place. We didn't do that last year. I think just because of how crammed the schedule was. But typically we do the Garrett Round Ball Classic.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have a game. And then every once in a while, probably once a year, I feel like we have the goof around practice where we're doing WWE moves or this, that, and the other.
Yeah, play fighting the entire time.
Yeah, and we have fun, but to me, there's a time and place. So, at the particular club you're talking about, that kid's awesome. He's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
But in my mind, we were like getting really close to season. So, no, we got to work on wrestling.
Yeah.
So that's how I think. So maybe the kids on the team, on our team, start to think a little bit like me. It would make sense if that would happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this is game time, man. This is not game time. It's game time. Like, we're getting ready for the grind. Like, we're gonna try to win stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's more of like a summertime thing, like when you have wrestling during the summer.
yeah, club, like you have
Yeah.
fun and you do some stuff and mess around. You set up gimmick matches and you do the WWE stuff or whatever, just to have fun. But just close to season, I'm like, we got to do stuff. And it's not to say we don't work on stuff in summer wrestling. We do.
Yeah.
That's how Clayton picked up a lat drop. That's how a kid picks up a scramble technique. That's how a kid picks up a spladle or different things. Yeah, you find different stuff to do, but you got to keep wrestling interesting. You can't, with the way we go in like December, we can't do that all year.
Yeah.
For the kids that want to go to club, you got to have mix it up a little bit, have some fun. And I think that's why some kids play other sports, which is good. Go mix it up. Go be excited for baseball season or track season or whatever it is. Or, you got to mix it up. You guys are only young once. Mentality-wise, though, I would never say anything about another coach. So I hope you weren't directing me to do that.
No.
But I do think some kids view wrestling different than what we do and what some other towns do. The schools we wrestle at Team State, you can tell they're all pretty serious.
Yeah.
And I would say that's at every division. So I would say we're all pretty like-minded as schools. Like, hey, we got to work on wrestling, get good at it. I don't know. I can't speak. I haven't been in their rooms, but I would assume those teams are obviously doing really good stuff. Otherwise, they wouldn't be at Team State. Yeah. And it's not to say some of the teams that aren't at Team State aren't doing great stuff. Snyder, for example, they do really good stuff. Those kids work really hard. They were really, really close to knocking us and Carroll off last year. Columbia City's another team in our regional. It's pretty tough. You had Columbia City, you had Carroll, you had Garrett, you had Snyder. New Haven was knocking on the door with a few kids. Leo always brings a good set of kids in. So I think wrestling has gotten more serious in the Fort Wayne semi-state the last 3 or 4 years, and people have realized we need to step our game up. Yeah. So I think it has improved, actually.
How has wrestling changed since you were in high school?
More opportunities, more publicity. You got Flow Wrestling, you got Rothkin, you got USA Wrestling. You got all these different social media outlets for wrestling that are posting stuff, putting stuff on there, and it's not just good for kids, it's good for me. I see moves on there sometimes, or little techniques, like Mike Mall. He's a great dude to follow. He'll say, all right, having trouble getting past the thumb block? Here's what we do, guys, and he'll break it down. I've used that stuff in our room so many times. Not specifically the thumb block, but different things they do. So it's around us, we can see more. UFC, Bellator, Strikeforce, all those big fighting organizations that are around, that's an outlet for wrestlers when they're done. Because it's the most similar to wrestling, and wrestlers dominate that sport. I think Israel Adesanya might be the only champion right now that doesn't have a wrestling background.
Yeah.
It dominates the sport. So I think MMA has helped wrestling. And to me, it's gotten a lot more popular. It's a lot more mainstream than what it ever has been before. And I think social media, Indiana Matt does a great job. It's probably the best high school wrestling website in the country. They do amazing stuff. I know Rex Brewer and Dane Fueling are doing WBZD. I'm not sure if I got those letters right. They're doing a weekly show where they talk about wrestling. It's kind of more for Belmont, Adams Central, South Adams wrestling, but I listen to it here and there. It's cool to listen to. They do a good job. They talk about cool stuff. So wrestling's just more out there. It's more known. When I was in school, I didn't know about the opportunities. I didn't really know what the ISWA was. I went to a Purdue camp when I was going to be a sophomore, I believe. And that was because some of my friends were going and asked me to go, so I said, yeah. I went to an open room once at Mishawaka, and I believe that was after I had already placed third in state, and I was done wrestling in high school. And I went to one tournament, and it was after I'd already placed third in state because somebody told me about it. You know, I didn't know about those opportunities. We didn't have open mats going on all the time, so I didn't do much extra. If I would have known about more opportunities or there would have been social media, I wouldn't have quit a sport. I still would have done football and baseball, but you could bet I would have been in some rooms a little bit more doing some stuff. You know, going over to Mishawaka, like, how do I beat that kid? Because he's the returning state champ at my weight. Trying to figure out how to beat those kids. Yeah, there's opportunities now. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. It's gotten a lot bigger.
Yeah, the techniques haven't changed like a super. I mean, there's things you always evolve and you learn. You know, people might ride legs a little different now than what they used to, and I think like Latour leg camps and some of those camps have helped a lot. People are more knowledgeable and found things that work, but I mean, no, I'm kind of still doing the same. Wrestling's the same. It's just exposure, I think.
Yeah.
It's gotten more popular.
Yeah.
So.
You gonna fight some more?
Do I want to fight?
Yeah.
I want to. I tried to fight last year. I had 2 opponents pull out. The one made sense. So it was kind of funny how it happened though. This organization in Nebraska got a hold of Lee Brothers and they said, hey, do you guys have a 205? And I said, I'll fight 205. And that's what I did for my last fight actually. And my name got brought up to them, and then all of a sudden, nope, there's crickets. And about 5 weeks later, he signed and took a main card fight with Bellator, which I don't blame him on that. So that one kind of makes sense. And then the other one, an organization had a UFC veteran that needed a fight. He fought 4 or 5 fights in the UFC. And I said, yes, no hesitation, let's figure it out. And then nothing was said after that. I think what it is, I think that I'm a risky fight for people. They could beat me, but I could beat them. And why would you want to take a chance of taking a loss in an organization not called the UFC or Bellator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. And I don't mean for that to sound arrogant. It's confident. I know I'm a good fighter.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it is like, well, if I'm going to fight this guy, I should be in this organization or that. Unfortunately, I'm not in one of those organizations. So that could be part of it. I didn't try too much with the pandemic. I just, at the start of it, I just like, we'll let it go. And then I guess this fall I was just worried about getting started on wrestling. I haven't ruled it out, so I may or may not, it depends. If something comes about, I might do it. So if they end up shutting the schools down and you know there's nothing to coach, then I'm going to need to keep myself busy somehow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would do my e-learning during the day and then probably go train at night or go down in my basement. I don't know. Depends on if gyms are open. I guess there's a lot of questions right now in the world. We don't know what's going to happen. A lot of uncertainty.
Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad if school got canceled. I'd be mad if wrestling got canceled.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
school,
Well, they wouldn't cancel school.
Yeah.
You're going to have at least virtual learning or something because they can't just cancel school.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, like virtual.
Oh, you wouldn't be mad if you didn't have to go to school every day?
Yeah. I'm
Well.
getting tired of waking up and having to sit my car out there for like 10 minutes.
Well,
having to
Kane,
warm up.
got some news for you.
Well,
Within the next 4 years, you're probably going to be an adult. And you're probably going to have to go to work or college or work, whatever you choose. And
I don't know.
it's kind of what you're going to have to do. It's what you're going to have to do.
In high school, did you plan on becoming a wrestling coach?
Yes and no. My dad would encourage me to try different things. So one of the things he told me would be a good outlet is in the medical field. He's like, you know, there's all these different options in the medical field. You could be a male nurse, you could be an X-ray tech, you could be this, that. Male nurses, you know, they're in demand, good money.
Mm-hmm.
So I did an internship at LaPorte Hospital, and I went to it, and it wasn't my thing. There was parts of it I liked, but then there were some parts of, and I say it wasn't my thing. They had it set up to where we had different places we would go. Like, okay, so you're kind of a nurse this week. Okay, you're kind of doing some rehab this week. Okay, you're in the lab. Okay, so they moved us around, and I wasn't my thing. So then did another one where I was essentially a TA, and I hanging up whatever for the teacher, bulletin boards and helping kids with math or reading or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about it more, and I'm like, man, I think I'd like being a teacher. Because I feel like the best teachers I had, they have left an impact on me, whether it was Coach Curtis, who was a coach and a teacher, softball coach at Garrett. So he didn't coach me in anything, he just impacted, not at Garrett, I'm sorry, at the school I went to, New Prairie. He left an impact on me just by the way he taught his social studies class. And so I had respect for him. English teachers I had, there's a few teachers that just stick out that made a difference. I'm like, man, maybe I can be that for somebody. Then I just started thinking, like, this is what I'm going to do. And if I'm going to do it, I might as well coach wrestling, a sport that I love. So, probably junior, senior year, I kind of made my mind up.
Yeah. That was my first thought after high school, too, was to be a teacher. And I was like, money's not really there. I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. So I think I'm going to go into plumbing.
Well, whatever you end up doing, I would say don't make it just about money.
Yeah.
My family is not rich.
Yeah.
But I think we're really happy. And we get to go on little vacations here and there and get to do fun stuff. And sure, we may not have as much as the people over here, the people over there, but we've got enough, and we're really happy with what we do. I love going to school. I love getting to hopefully make a good impression on kids. Hopefully teach them something along the way, obviously, but more off, the biggest thing is with teaching and coaching is to make people better adults. And I hope I'm doing that with the group that I'm around, or at least I have some influence on them, because I feel like I wouldn't be as happy doing something else. It's not as gratifying. I mean, you could give me a bunch of money and I'd buy a lot of stuff and I'd have fun with it, but I don't know that it would be there's something each day and each week that happens where you're like, yes, this kid gets it, or something that's gratifying that makes you feel good. There's bad days too, but there's gonna be bad days in everything you do. But I had a friend who went to school and he kind of went for the money. That's what he made up his mind. I'm gonna do something for the money. And he changed his major a half dozen times. And then his first job, he was selling potatoes essentially. And he was making a bunch of money and had a vehicle paid for. And then he finally broke down and told me how miserable he was. And he finally got a new job where he works for an athletics company, which is something closer to what he wanted to do. His life, I think he took a pay decrease too. But his life is so much better for him now. He has so much fun. He talks about his job, and before he's like, to me, that, the money was cool, but I wasn't doing anything that was gratifying. Now he is. Now he's getting to work with some athletes and do some different stuff like that. So whatever you end up doing, money's cool, but make sure it's going to be something that you really, really want to do and that you're going to love.
Yeah.
And then it's not work.
Well, with me being your TA, I learned that free throw is muscle memory. I would not ever think that.
Free throw is muscle memory. You do the same thing every single time you shoot a free throw.
I also suck at basketball though, so.
Well, that's
He
all right.
is really bad at basketball.
Well, luckily for me, I got you on the wrestling team.
Yeah. I was joking with you about not doing wrestling, doing basketball. Probably won't make the team.
Hey, you never know, man, but it is what it is. I was a basketball player. I did that before I did wrestling, and then did both in middle school. And when I got to high school, I just, for whatever reason that day, decided to go with wrestling, and it worked out for me, and it was a good choice for me. So I still like basketball. I still love playing in the, what's it called? Student versus staff game, which we might not get to have this year. I don't know. But I look forward to that. It's like my game day. I'm like, yeah.
You get to bully little kids.
Yeah, we're beating by 30. They think they're gonna win every year, but we've got a couple of my coworkers that are on my team that are pretty good athletes. Plus myself, I do all right.
Mm-hmm.
So we end up usually going out there trying to score a bunch.
Yeah, you do dominate our round ball tournament.
I try to. I think I lost it the last time we had it though. Actually, it might have been the first year.
I was on your team. We got second.
Yep, it's like the first time I ever lost in that round ball classic. So I definitely want to have that again this year. Need to get back on the winning side of things.
Yeah.
Make sure
Show your dominance.
Yeah, and just kind of
Just gotta make a comeback.
scout out the kids on our team and see who looks the most coordinated out of the wrestlers. He might be able to make a layup. Try to pick that kid on my team. So
I like to think I'm pretty good at basketball.
You're not bad. You're not bad.
Yeah, I didn't think I was.
And Wayne, you're not bad.
He's pretty bad.
Okay. Well,
We were at Smith Acres one time with my cousin Jack, whatever, and Wayne and me, and we gave Wayne like 50 attempts from the 3-point line. He
So I had to
only
make
made
it-
one.
I had
He
to
made
make it. I had to
one.
make it once, and I didn't stop till I made it. It was like
2
30 shots later.
so 50 shots, you made one. That's 2%.
2% of making it.
Better than one.
Better than 1%.
Better than
You know what
none,
1% is better than? 0%.
Exactly.
So
Improvement.
it works. Improvement.
Yeah, he does have a lot of improvement. He only beat me. I only beat him by one in the free throw thing that we had in
The
your class.
21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in 21. I only beat him by one.
So
So it wasn't too bad. Lots of improvement.
There we go.
Okay, I think that's it.
All right. I appreciate you guys having me on,
Mm-hmm.
and I look forward to seeing what else you guys do with this. Like I said, keep it classy.
Keep it classy.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
yeah.
All right.
And we have to thank our sponsor for letting us use all of his stuff, Wells Photography, for this
The flag,
The
this,
thing.
the camera,
camera. Wouldn't be able to do it without
TV,
him.
tablecloth, the bar stools, and the microphone. So,
Yeah, want to be able to do it without him. So thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
it. All right, cool.